For more than 3,000 years, the fall of Troy has been told as legend. But what if history remembered it exactly as it happened? For 10 long years, its walls had resisted one of the greatest armies the ancient world had ever assembled. Then came a gift unlike anything the city had ever seen. To many, it appeared to be a symbol of peace. In reality, it marked the beginning of an unforgettable journey. Because from this moment forward, one man's journey would become one of the greatest adventures ever recorded. Beyond Troy's towering walls, thousands of Greek warriors had waited through endless seasons, determined to bring the long conflict to an end. Among them stood a leader, remembered not for his strength alone, but for his remarkable ability to outthink every challenge before him.
Their defense is strong. We must find a breach.
Piece by piece, skilled craftsmen transformed timber into one of history's most recognizable creations. Before sunrise, the stage was set. The story remembered for thousands of years was finally about to unfold. With Troy behind them, the long war had finally come to an end. But for one king, the greatest journey was only beginning. Their destination was Ithaca, a kingdom separated by countless miles of open sea. For a brief moment, the sea offered peace, as though the voyage home would be simple. But across the horizon, the sky began to tell a different story. Nature would soon test every sailor aboard, and this was only the beginning. After days at sea, a rugged island emerged from the morning mist. It appeared peaceful, yet something about its silence felt unusual. The shoreline offered fresh water, shelter, and every sign of safety. Yet the island guarded secrets hidden beyond the trees. Every step carried them farther from the sea and deeper into a landscape untouched by time.
This ancient path holds many secrets.
Hidden within the cliffs stood a vast stone cave. Inside, they found signs that someone or something had once called this place home. Everything inside hinted at a shepherd whose strength and stature exceeded anything the travelers had known.
No human direct action could have made this.
As evening approached, the cave's owner returned from the hills with his flock. Within the cave, the travelers remained silent, allowing curiosity to overcome their fear. Ancient storytellers would remember him by the name Polyphemus, a shepherd whose remarkable size inspired generations of legend. As daylight faded, the shepherd followed a routine repeated through countless seasons, caring for his flock before settling for the night. Hidden among the stone pillars, Odysseus carefully observed every movement, searching for the right moment to reveal himself. As darkness settled beyond the cliffs, the quiet glow of a small fire illuminated the ancient shelter. Believing hospitality to be sacred among strangers, Odysseus finally stepped forward. Across the ancient Greek world, welcoming travelers was considered a sacred tradition. What happened next would become one of the most enduring moments in the Odyssey. According to ancient Greek tradition, every traveler could ask for shelter and food.
We are Greeks, lost on our way home from Troy. We ask for your hospitality, noble host. Health and fair greet, mighty host.
Welcome to my cave, traveler. Few dare to enter these walls.
We come only seeking shelter.
As generations retold the encounter, Simple memories gradually evolved into extraordinary legends.
We have traveled far. Rest here by the fire, stranger.
Night settled across the island, leaving only the glow of firelight and the quiet sounds of the shepherd's home. Centuries later, poets would remember this mysterious shepherd by another name, the Cyclops. Realizing that force alone would never secure their freedom, Odysseus turned to the quality that defined his legacy: careful strategy. Every object inside the cave became part of Odysseus's careful observations.
We will wait until the monster falls asleep. Then we sharpen the massive olive wood stake. And only then do we strike.
As the flock moved toward the morning pasture, an opportunity finally appeared. With patience and careful timing, Odysseus and his companions finally left the cave behind. The escape from the Shepherd's Island marked only the beginning. Beyond the horizon, new lands and new challenges awaited. Days later, an isolated island appeared, rising from the sea like a fortress shaped by nature itself. Ancient tradition remembered the island's ruler as Aeolus, a wise leader whose knowledge of the winds guided every voyage across these waters. Following the customs of the age, strangers were welcomed before questions were asked. Later storytellers described Aeolus as the keeper of the winds.
This route through the Cyclades is your safest passage. But the winds off the Malaya are unpredictable.
Armed with fresh knowledge and favorable winds, Odysseus once again turned his ships toward the open sea. The voyage home seemed closer than ever. For many days, the sea remained calm. The rhythm of wind and water restored hope to every sailor aboard. Then, beyond towering cliffs, they discovered one of the most unusual harbors described in the ancient world. Everything appeared peaceful, yet the silence of the valley felt strangely complete. As he had done many times before, Odysseus chose to understand the land before committing his people to it. High above the harbor, the travelers discovered a settlement unlike any they had encountered. Its massive stone architecture hinted at a people who had mastered the rugged landscape. The people who lived here were remembered for their extraordinary height and remarkable strength, qualities that later storytellers would greatly exaggerate. At the heart of the settlement stood a great hall.
We must consider the harvest. The stores are enough for winter.
Separated by mountains and sea, this isolated society had developed customs unfamiliar to the travelers from Ithaca. Whether these people truly inspired the legends of the Lestrygonians remains unknown, but encounters between distant cultures often grew into extraordinary stories with every generation. With new knowledge gathered from distant shores, Odysseus once again trusted the sea to guide his journey home. Far across the sea, another island appeared, covered by dense forests and untouched by the growing kingdoms of the ancient world. Hidden deep within the forests stood a sanctuary unlike any Odysseus had encountered before. Ancient poets remembered the woman who lived here as Circe, a figure whose deep understanding of herbs, healing, and ritual gradually became the foundation of legend. To later generations, unfamiliar medicines often appeared indistinguishable from magic. Knowledge became myth, and healers became legends. When Odysseus reached the sanctuary, he found not a sorceress, but a woman whose knowledge of nature had earned both admiration and fear.
This island will heal your weary men, Odysseus.
We cannot stay here forever. My home and my wife Penelope wait for me.
The sea is unforgiving.
To ancient travelers unfamiliar with these remedies, healing often appeared mysterious. Knowledge itself became the foundation of legend.
Welcome, travelers, to this island. Here you will find rest and abundance.
You are truly gracious, my lady. My men and I are deeply grateful.
Centuries later, storytellers transformed these simple moments into tales of enchantment. In truth, history often becomes more extraordinary with every retelling. Before their departure, Circe offered one final warning.
You must sail past the land of the Lotus Eaters. There, the red mark reveals your safe passage.
With renewed determination, the fleet once again crossed the open sea, following the course toward lands few sailors dared to approach. Ancient mariners spoke of a coastline where the wind itself seemed to sing. Many believed mysterious voices lived among these cliffs. Over generations, sailors transformed these haunting sounds into the legend of the Sirens, voices said to lure ships toward the rocks. By respecting the sea and reading the winds carefully, Odysseus guided his fleet safely beyond the dangerous coast. Another legend had become part of his remarkable journey.
Pull hard, men! Brace yourselves! Brace yourselves! Steer clear of the rocks! Steady as she goes! Row on!
Ancient sailors described a place where the sea seemed to swallow itself. Later generations gave this phenomenon a name, Charybdis. Opposite the whirlpool stood sheer cliffs where sudden rockfalls and powerful crosswinds made navigation equally dangerous. This hazard became known as Scylla.
Rowers, pull together with all your might! Keep her steady through this narrow strait. I will hold her steady. Pull together, men! Heave with all your might! Pull! Steady on this course, bring her gently to the port.
By reading the currents and respecting the sea, the fleet emerged safely into open water. Another legendary obstacle had been overcome. Beyond the dangerous straits, the fleet reached an island unlike any before it. Ancient traditions regarded this place as sacred, protected by customs that every traveler was expected to respect. These cattle were not ordinary livestock. They were carefully protected by local tradition and represented a sacred trust passed down through generations.
Pull the ships further onto the sand, out of the reach of the tide. We must establish our camp here before nightfall. Go now and inspect those meadows for fresh water and supplies.
But the winds changed. Day after day, powerful storms prevented the fleet from continuing its journey. As supplies grew scarce and the storm refused to pass, the crew faced one of the most difficult decisions of the entire voyage. After many days, the relentless storm finally weakened, yet the weeks of isolation had exhausted both supplies and morale. Odysseus urged patience, reminding his companions that survival often depended on restraint as much as courage.
My loyal friends, the gods call us to the sea once more. Prepare the ships and let us unfurl the sails for home.
Ancient storytellers remembered that, despite every warning, some among the weary crew chose to ignore the island's sacred customs.
Pull with all your might! Row through the storm! Hold the line, men!
Whether viewed as the judgment of the gods or simply the power of nature, the voyage soon faced its greatest trial. Driven apart by wind and waves, the fleet disappeared into rain and darkness. Each captain was left to face the sea alone. When dawn finally arrived, only one vessel remained within sight. Odysseus now faced the journey almost entirely alone. Days passed beneath an endless sky. Guided only by experience and the stars, Odysseus searched for land. At last, a distant island appeared on the horizon. The island was known in later traditions as Ogygia, isolated by vast stretches of sea. After countless miles across the Mediterranean, Odysseus finally stepped onto solid ground once again. Deep within the island stood a secluded sanctuary, where generations of travelers believed remarkable knowledge had been preserved. Ancient storytellers remembered the woman who lived here as Calypso. For the first time in many years, Odysseus found a place where war, storms, and uncertainty briefly gave way to peace. Seasons came and went. The island offered safety, comfort, and abundance. Yet Odysseus never stopped thinking about the distant shores of Ithaca. No matter how peaceful the island became, the horizon always reminded him of unfinished promises. At last, Odysseus made the decision he had postponed for years. Home was worth every remaining challenge. Using the skills gained through years of travel, Odysseus built a sturdy vessel designed for one final crossing. As dawn broke, Odysseus set sail once more. He carried with him not only supplies, but the lessons gathered from every shore he had ever visited. After many days alone upon the sea, a new coastline finally emerged. It belonged to a people celebrated throughout the ancient world for their mastery of the sea. The harbor reflected generations of maritime knowledge.
Welcome back, great Odysseus, to your home. Let us offer you the hospitality of our town.
At the center of the city stood the residence of its rulers, where merchants, navigators, and travelers exchanged knowledge gathered from across the Mediterranean.
I have suffered many griefs on the pounding sea. My poor companions were lost to the deep. But at last, I have returned to my home.
Moved by his extraordinary journey, the seafaring kingdom prepared a vessel to carry Odysseus safely to his homeland. After years of wandering across the Mediterranean, the familiar outline of Ithaca finally appeared beyond the morning mist. Every familiar hill, every olive tree, and every stone path reminded Odysseus that his long journey had finally reached its end. Though the years had changed the kingdom, the palace still stood above the island, overlooking the sea that had carried him home. The Odyssey was never simply a voyage across the sea. It was a journey of endurance, wisdom, and the determination to find one's way home.
Odysseus finally returned to Ithaca. His long journey has come to an end. After everything he endured, he never gave up on finding his way home.